Hello, and welcome to the beginning of a multi-part series on advanced bloat methods. This video will be the first part of a three-part series, the first being a deep dive into dual bloat methods, followed by an in-depth video on bloat methods in higher scales, and completed by a chronological report of how the bloat rack has changed over time in every single scale, and how I now have come to hold all 6 relevant bloat racks. People have been p-necking bloat in duos for over 4 years. The world record duo time has had a 2 down ever since Aki and Caro broke their own duo rec by 17 seconds with this board back in 2021. At the time, their record had been standing for over 200 days, and they broke it with no power creep whatsoever to assist them. After 3 months, Giraffe and Pretz followed that world record with a 2 down of their own. Let's not forget my own glory days when I held the duo rec for one of the briefest held recs ever at just 19 days. While we're gazing through this progression of duo recs, I would like to pay homage to the absolutely legendary post-next pre-TOA greatest of all time duo time, which to this day has been the longest standing duo rec ever at 406 days by TSM and Prowse. If you want a challenge, try beating this time yourself with just a Berserkering Eye, no Rancor, most importantly no Light Bearers. Not to mention you can't even simulate the fact that Scythe has been buffed since then. That 2051 was just insane for its time. Since then, metas as well as power creep has pushed the duo rec further and further till the current rec that stands today at 1903. Duos are an immensely popular scale these days due to the ever increase in the skill floor of the average player, and the relative ease of making a duo team for top compared to having to find more people for higher scales. For years now, it has not been uncommon to come to expect p-necking bloat to be the norm in duo even when doing money raids, not going for ridiculously fast times. The simplest part about bloat is learning to flinch bloat. You can practice this in higher scales as well as duos. As you can see from the diagram here, bloat will stomp you if you are not on the green tiles shown in this diagram. The proximity of these tiles allows you to dodge the stomp most of the time by running away from bloat just as he starts to wake up, and then running in with a Crystal Halberd special attack right after he stomps. Because he stomps before he starts moving, you can actually still do your Crystal Halberd special attack on full damage. When bloat is facing toward you in duos, it is recommended that one player tanks the stomp with a tick eat via the Guthix Rest right before attacking, and then tick eats the first fly, either with a neck or with redemption, to survive the following flies. If bloat is not flinchable, i.e. bloat is in the corner, then both players will have to do this maneuver. If bloat is facing away from you, both players should flinch bloat together. With the use of pre-potting the prayer enhanced potion, you will regain that prayer that you lost when using redemption, and this allows you to use piety on the second down. But you will not regain enough prayer to be able to keep range pray up without flicking, which is not realistically feasible to flick while hitting bloat during the walk. So if you intend to use Nyx during the second walk, it is recommended to instead tick eat the first fly while wearing a p-neck instead of redemption. This has the added benefit of deleting the second fly and leaving you rather healthy. After mastering flinching, it is important to learn how to tick fix blows so that you can use all possible ticks during the down. Depending on when bloat goes down, which is somewhat random by the way, you should not spec at all, chally spec, claw spec, or both claw spec and claw scratch to maximize your tick usage on the first down. It is important that no matter how you fix your ticks, you always end the down with a chally spec. To determine what tick you are on relative to bloat's down, if it didn't turn and you didn't lose ticks on an entrance you are familiar with, then you can use bloat's current position to determine what tick you are on. Failing that, you can watch when you hit relative to when he goes down, and just count ticks between your scythe and his down. Another method is to look when bloat flashes his little spots on his back. I personally don't use this flashing method, and I will link resources to this idea in the description. Just for reference, bloat stays down for 32 ticks, so if you hit on the same tick he goes down, you should just do a 6-6 scythe at some point if it's flinchable, or chally a tick early if it's not flinchable. If you hit 1 tick after he goes down, you should do 6 5-tick scythes, then end with a chally. If you hit 2 ticks after he goes down, you should do a claw spec, then 5 souths, and then a chally. If you hit 3 ticks after he goes down, you should do a claw spec, a claw scratch, then 4 scythes, and a chally. If you hit 4 ticks after he goes down, you can also note, this usually means you were scything 1 tick before he went down, you should do 4 scythes, throw in a chally in there somewhere, and then end with another chally. Remember, you can practice these tick fixes and flinching in entry mode until you get the hang of it. Once you have mastered flinching or tick eating the stomp and the first fly, and tick fixing, you can move on to the fun part, which is using the P-necks themselves. There are several different methods when P-necking bloat. I recommend people learn first something called the windmill bloat method, which involves P-necking the first down in an attempt to use some necks, but mostly to ensure that you get 7 full damage hits, and the bloat goes down below 60% to start running. Then using the majority of your necks after the first down, but before the second down, so that you can utilize the more friendly fly radius of bloat while he is running to only use one neck per scythe without stalling at all. This is far easier to salve flick as well as compared to necking bloat while he is just walking. If you do not double fly when bloat is walking, you will use on average 1.5 necks per scythe, whereas when he is running with this windmill method, you can use only 1 neck per scythe. You can add stalling to this windmill method and be able to get 2 scythes per neck, which is insanely high value. I recommend fully understanding and practicing the windmill bloat method without stalling before moving on to more advanced methods. This method generally allows players to start the first down immediately, as you would do in any other money raid, and you do in money raids of higher scales. And so this may be preferred to more money-inclined doers. Though it is true that it's a pretty rough science as to when it comes to entering bloat on the first down with this windmill method, there are generally agreed upon entries for each roll. The roll with more necks should do 2 T-bows or shadows, then wait till bloat is 2 tiles past the vat while sending 2 tiles in from the vat themselves, and attack bloat with the salve on here. They should be able to get 2 salve hits off, but should watch their HP to see if the flies max hit them, because sometimes they may need to equip their first P-neck early. The roll that has less necks is recommended to do 2 to 3 T-bows or shadows, then proceed to run at bloat as you do your third shadow or bow and start scything him as soon as possible. Note that if he turns, you will be on attack cooldown from this third shadow or bow, so it is likely not worth that risk to do the third shadow or bow. As you P-neck bloat during this first down, try your best to stay next to the vat at all times, meaning if you need to dodge a hand, do that by running back and forth linearly, not by running out from the vat. This avoids double flying your partner. Also be careful when bloat turns to run back away from him if you are following, versus vice versa if you were in front of him. But try not to double fly your teammate if he turns, as that wastes more P-necks. Now, on the second down, this is where the fun begins. The name is derived because in order to optimally windmill bloat, you need to be constantly running between corners to maximize the amount of hits you can get in before it goes down again. As you can see in this clip, after hitting him on the corner 2 times, you want to immediately run 2 corners, not just 1, to catch him as he goes around the vat. This allows for only 7 ticks to elapse between the second hit of the first corner in the first hit of the second corner, allowing you to maximize your slice before the second down. A common mistake that people make when learning this windmill method is that they will start the first scythe without their salve on. If they do this, they will not be forced to equip a P-neck as soon as they get an XP drop. This means that they will still be aggroed on bloat, as equipping this P-neck de-aggroes you from bloat. Since they are aggroed on bloat, they will get dragged along the front of the boss, which causes them to tank far more flies. Instead, even when first learning, you should do this first scythe with a salve on. That way you are forced to equip a P-neck immediately as you get your first scythe's XP drop. This causes you to de-aggro bloat and allows you to stand still while bloat walks through you. Now, as you run out of necks and as bloat keeps walking, it's important to note that hitting bloat while he is less than 40 can actually extend his down. So after 2 to 3 windmills, I generally stop running around and start following bloat instead, waiting for him to go down, and then immediately running in to finish him off with claws and chally on the second down. Before moving on to the most current dual metas, I highly recommend fully familiarizing yourself with all the possible ways you can stall using the SBS spell while windmilling, to be able to get 2 scythes for 1 P-neck. First of all, the biggest principle behind getting 2 scythes for 1 P-neck is that as you run away from the second scythe, bloat will only fly you a maximum of 2 times. Otherwise, you are at risk of dying to the third fly, or must waste a neck to avoid this death. The most simple SBS to do while windmilling is while bloat is still above 40%, but less than 60%, he will always run. Watch this clip carefully. On the first tick of the windmill, I click bloat. On the second tick of the windmill, I click the P-neck and I click bloat again. On the third tick of the windmill, I click SBS. Because you are clicking SBS not immediately on your XP drop, but a little after, you cannot salve flick the second hit, but this is by design because it allows you to only tank 2 flies instead of 3 as you run away. After stalling on the corner, run immediately around 2 corners just as you would if you were not stalling. And don't forget to cast an Arceus spell on the way to bring yourself back onto the Lunar Spellbook so you can cast SBS again. Rinse repeat, and you can get 2 to 3 windmills off before it goes down, resulting in 4 to 6 sights during the second walk, while only using 2 to 3 necks. Please note, if Bloat turns on the first down, his chances to turn on the second down are greatly reduced, and it is impossible for him to turn immediately on the second down. If he is eligible to turn, and is not turned on the first down, you must expect him to turn. If he does turn, generally I will end up using an extra P-neck and reverse my direction again as he turns, which will sometimes cause me to abort doing another windmill. Just be careful of this and try not to get yourself into a position where you're using your absolute last P-neck when he has a chance to turn. If he has recently turned, don't be afraid to use your last P-neck. This can get a little more intense if you happen to be less than 11 HP and you opt to tick-eat the first fly as you stall, which will cause you to need to re-aggro Bloat in the third tick after the tick-eat and before the SBS, requiring a very high APM maneuver. Tick 1, click Bloat. Tick 2, click P-neck. Tick 3, click Guthix Rest, click Bloat, and click SBS all in the same tick. Please watch this very closely. Only need to click Bloat after the T, but before the SBS. If you are 11 HP or greater, I recommend simply Guthix restoring before you start this windmill. That way you will be 16 HP, and then you will opt to do the previously mentioned method. If Bloat is less than 40%, then this is a bit of a different scenario. You need to watch it as it gets up, whether or not he is running. And then if Bloat is running, I recommend that you T-bow Bloat to make him walk before windmilling. If you do T-bow him, as shown here, he will run for 2 ticks before proceeding to walk. This can be tricky, but if practiced in entry mode, you will get the timing of this down. You are actually able to get both hits off with the salve on, and only take 2 flies as you run away from the corner after doing the 2 sights on the corner. In order to windmill Bloat when he is less than 40% and walking, you need to wait till he is 4 tiles past the vat, 2 away, and you also stand 4 tiles away from the corner of the vat, or the far vial for reference. Then tick 1, click Bloat. Tick 2, wait to path toward Bloat. Tick 3, click P-neck and SBS. Because you are stalling as soon as you get the XP drop, not waiting a tick to stall like you did previously, you can click your salve as you end the stall, and then also click Bloat in that same tick to swing the second scythe with your salve on. After this second swing though, you need to L path back to the vat, or else you will take 3 flies instead of 2. If you fail to L path, I recommend spam clicking your T to try to tank that third fly. Please note you cannot tick-eat the third fly, so you are simply trying to out-eat this third fly with an extra 5 HP from the T. If your character will not be running on a side of the vat next to one of the doors after this windmill, then you don't need to L path, and this is because when standing on the corner of an NPC and stepping out to attack, the game prioritizes east and west over north and south. Note that if you and your teammate are doing this less than 40% walk windmill method together, then the second person to do it should not stand 4 tiles away from the vat before they attack Bloat, but instead 2 tiles away, and they will attack Bloat immediately. But as they run away, Bloat will be walking, so they will still only take 2 flies if they path properly. If you watch closely here, my teammate downed you all only takes 2 flies as he run away, even though he did stall late, which meant he missed a second salve hit. Only after mastering windmill with stalls do I recommend moving on to stalling during the first down, which is the meta Bloat done these days. Many bloat methods have been popularized, including the flash bloat, or some people call it the baller bloat, which utilizes the spellbook swap bell to stall the flies, bundling them all into a single tick so that multiple flies can be deleted with the Phoenix Necklace mechanic that clears all Q damage on your player when it is broken. The reason these methods are called flash bloat or baller bloat is because Finish Flash is a very popular Twitch streamer who quite often streams on twitch.tv world record duo attempts and has held the world record multiple times in the past. On the other hand, people may call it baller bloat because a player by the name of Baller is the one who first popularized this method of using spellbook swap as a stall to bundle the flies. Previously, people knew you could stall the flies, especially with the spell Humidify, but people had not thought of spellbook swapping to Arceus, and then immediately casting an Arceus spell to be able to spellbook swap right after the stall ends again, just as you would immediately empty your vial if you were humidifying. When spellbook swapping on the first down, this method involves using the spellbook swap spell multiple times in quick succession. This is to minimize the amount of PNEX used on the first down. While there are some methods that allow both players to use even less NEX while stalling in the first down,
to save more for windmilling on the second down.
People name different bloat methods based on the entrance that is utilized in that bloat method.
The following is my recommended bloat method.
So this is what I call the horse bloat. With this entrance, when he does not turn, he is almost always flinchable and facing away from us. Whereas if you enter earlier, like in the flash bloat, this is less common. Second is that this method results in bloat going down on ticks that are most likely to allow you to get 7 hits off with or without your claw spec. And finally, this method lets the ranger use most of the necks on the first down, allowing me as the major to save several necks for the second down, which has been very helpful for me since I am very experienced at the SBS Windmills where I can get 2 sights for 1 neck, while my teammates are generally not as experienced at this method, so it allows them to just save their neck for sewed skips and not have to worry about windmilling on this second down. With this entrance, the ranger entering 3 ticks after Bloat's True Tell goes past the center vat and then doing 2 sights before immediately running around the vat and re-entering as soon as they are 2 tiles away from the corner and when Bloat is also 2 tiles past the corner. The major enters when Bloat is 1 tile past the center of the vat by the door and does 2 sights, then re-enters when Bloat is 1 tile away from being flush with the vat by the other door. These re-entries utilize the Rapid Heal prayer to ticket the first fly, so that you will almost never die to the flies you tank during the first few sights. You can re-enter Bloat on as low as 1 HP, because the Rapid Heal will ticket the first fly you take while you do your first stall. The ranger turns on Rapid Heal shortly after entering the room when Bloat is 2 tiles past the vat. The mage turns on Rapid Heal when Bloat rounds the corner near the far door and is 1 tile into the vat while he takes runes out of his Shadow and Sang for Arceus spells. Something to note is that these Rapid Heal timings do not change if you change the entry timing, but only change if you change the re-entry timing on either roll.
On re-entry, the ranger equips a neck and casts SBS as he gets his first Scythe XP drop. After this first stall ends, he then
equips a neck, casts Thrall, and clicks Bloat all in the same tick. It is very helpful to have a resize spell and to right-click your PNEC before F-keying to the spell interface to be able to quickly click the PNEC and the Thrall in the same tick. Then, you should get your XP drop on the next tick. If you do not, this means you have clicked Bloat late. On this next tick, you should click SBS again, regardless if you get XP drop or not. Now, the cycle repeats itself, but this time you cast Shadow Veil. So, you click PNEC, click Shadow Veil, and click Bloat, all in the same tick. Then the next tick, you click SBS. Now, assuming that you do not trade before the room, this is your last Arceus spell that you are able to cast without additional runes. So now after this stall, you can easily equip your salve and attack Bloat in the same tick. From here, I recommend continuing to click your PNEX to play it safe, and spam click your PNEX until Bloat goes down while dodging hands. If you know what you are doing, you can add some salve flicks without stalling. On the mage re-entry, it's a bit different. I crafted this roll of the method for myself as a player very experienced at Bloat. So, after doing the first 2 sights of this mage entry, I then wait to re-enter. On this re-entry, I have to follow the following click pattern to be prepared if Bloat turns while I am stalling. On the first tick, I click Bloat, then I wait to path towards Bloat. Then, on the tick I get my XP drop, I click my PNEC, I click Bloat again, and I click SBS. I click Bloat in addition to the PNEC on this tick, unlike the range roll does on their re-entry, in the case that Bloat turns while I'm stalling here. Since I am on the front of Bloat, I want to be ready if he turns since I will need to be dragged. As you can see here in this clip, I am dragged as he turns early. If I had not done that re-aggro on Bloat before the SBS, I would not be dragged toward Bloat as the stall ended, and I would have been 2 tiles further from Bloat because Bloat is walking away would have actually caused me to take 2 extra ticks to reach Bloat instead of only 1 extra tick, resulting in an 8 tick scythe instead of a 6 tick scythe. Not to mention, I would have used more necks because of this as well. Now, if Bloat does turn on the first tick, then I have to wait till I reach him to start stalling again. If he had turned 1 tick later, I would have attacked 5 ticks after my first scythe, so I would have done the second stall sooner. But again, before the second stall, just like the Ranger, I am clicking P-neck, then clicking an RC spell, Mark of Darkness in this case, then clicking Bloat all in the same tick. If Bloat does not turn during the first stall, then I have another set of clicks to make, which is very advanced as well. In order to try not to double fly my teammate if Bloat does not turn, I do the following click pattern after the first stall. On the first tick, I click P-neck, I click Mark of Darkness, then I click Bloat. On the next tick, I click to move away, and I click SBS. This way, as I end my SBS stall, I will move 1 tile back. After the second stall is the window when Bloat could go down. So I equip my salve and cast Greater or Lesser Corruption. If Bloat has still not gone down, I attack Bloat, get dragged out west, and then I need to do an L back in to minimize double flies as I equip another neck. Then, if Bloat has still not gone down, I can do a salve hit here, and then click P-neck and SBS to use my final neck before it goes down on the longest possible down. If Bloat does do a turn this late, it can take longer to go down, and this usually results in the Ranger running out of P-necks and dying, but this is incredibly rare because Bloat can only extend his walk if he specifically turns here. There are a few more tips and tricks to Bloat that you may pick up on in your top adventures, and please ask if you have any questions. Please like and comment and subscribe, and look forward to the next 2 Bloat videos I have planned. One being an in-depth guide on Bloat speedrun methods for higher scales, and another which will go into detail about world record Bloat times and how they have been consistently broken over time, and how I have come to hold all 6 world records, Bloats this present day.
And then the other guy, you come in like 3 ticks later and you'll be in the front. So Bloat ends up in the back after running through. And so basically don't start now. So Bloat, you're gonna go here, yeah, and you're gonna run through as he's like walking past, like when he's around here, you're gonna start. The other guy's staying over here. No, no, no. Go in, hit it. You don't have time to kill it now. Hit it, go in, hit it.